Hi everyone and welcome to another candidates preview video. In this video we'll be having a look at our last but definitely not least candidates participant, Ding Liren. Alright, so let's have a look. So Ding is from China, he's 29 years old and he has a live rating of 2006. So he's the only participant who weighs in with a rating above 2800. He made it to the candidates because he was the highest rated player of May 2022. We'll be talking about that later. It's his third time participating in the candidates. He came fourth in 2018 and fifth in the 2020-2021 candidates. And initially it looked like Ding was going to miss out because, he had not played in the World Cup. He had not played in the Grand Prix, not in the Grand Swiss. So how was he going to make it, right? But at some point, Sergei Kayakin got banned from FIDE. A spot opened up and FIDE decided that it would go to the highest rated player of May 2022, but that player should have played at least 30 rated games. And at that point, Ding had only played 4 games, so everyone's like, okay, he's the highest rated player, but he's for sure going to miss out, right? Well, guess not. They organized a bunch of tournaments for him in China so he could get his games in and qualify to the candidates. Of course, there was a bit of discussion like, is this really the way to do it? But everyone agrees that Ding is very much deserving of a place in the candidates. Anyway, let's have a look at some of his games and see what we can expect from Ding in this tournament. Alright, so I've selected this game against Jan Nepomniachtchi from last year's candidates. He has played not many tournaments since that one. He has played those tournaments in China, but he hasn't played abroad. So that's really been his biggest struggle, especially, I don't know if he actually got the visa and whatnot. But anyway, with that being said and done, he opened the game with 1d4, knight f6, c4, and g6. So Nepo is sticking to his Grunfeld, f3, and e6. This move might look a little bit weird to some of you guys, but we'll see the point shortly. e4, c5 was played, d5, and d6. And black is ready to take the game into some sort of, Benoni. And actually, there was a great game here between Hikaru Nakamura and Benjamin Bok in the Isle of Man 2016. I would highly recommend you all to check that game out. Hikaru played knight e2, bishop g7, knight ec3. Benjamin played a6, a4, and after knight h5, eventually Benjamin won a great game. He won bishop e3, takes, f5. We all know this game, right? Anyway, but Ding did something else in this game. He played the move bishop to d3. Bishop g7 by Nepo, and now knight to e2. Here Nepo decided to trade on d5 and now play knight bd7. So he wants to go knight e5 and go after this bishop on d3. So Ding played knight ec3, a6 by Nepo, a4, and now knight to h5. So he wants to go queen h4, just like Benjamin did in that great game against Hikaru. But here white is in time to castle. Nepo gave a check, king h1, and he played knight e5. So it's looking pretty tempting for black. Black wants to go for a quick queen h4, knight g3. He has a bunch of threats, but question is, does it all work out? Ding played the move knight e2, going after the bishop. Now, black can just trade on d3 and drop the bishop back, but here white has quite a pleasant advantage. So let's say knight d2 to c4. We can always kick this knight back, so black really, gives up the initiative here. So Nepo played the move queen h4, and he wants to go for ideas like knight g3, but it all gets very concrete here. Ding took on d4, Nepo took on d3, which is probably, it's probably a very serious mistake. Ding captured on d3, sorry. Now you can't take here, because white just goes king d1. You're going to lose this pawn, and black's position is terrible, and he's going to be down a pawn as well. So Nepo went knight g3 check. The king moved over, and now he took on f1. So he's up in exchange, but this knight on f1 is kind of problematic. So Ding played knight c2. Now you also cannot bring in your queen. And this knight stays on the board for the moment after knight takes h2. But once again, how is this knight ever getting out? Ding played queen e3. Nepo castled, and now queen g5. So Ding wants to force a queen trade. He knows that if the queens get traded off, then this knight on h2 is also going to drop. So black took an f3. White were captured, and queen h3. Nepo felt that the endgame was probably just lost, and it's probably the correct assessment. Because once again, this pawn on d6 is so weak, and white can always bring a knight to c4 to attack it. Alright, so Nepo played queen h3, bishop f4, hitting the pawn once again, queen takes f3, and knight d2. f6 was played by Nepo, but now a great move by Ding. He gives up his queen, grabbing another pawn. It's called a desperado, where you're going to lose the queen. So you think, okay, let's grab something, you know, while I still can. Anyway, after black recaptured, he took the queen on f3, and bishop g4, knight to d2. Now, if you have a close look, you might see that the computer is saying, or like the material count is saying, black is +1. But once again, this pawn is so weak, and these rooks are really unable to do anything, and white's minor pieces are just so much better. So bishop a2 came from from Nepo, sorry, king f2, bishop d3, and knight e1. The bishop is simply kind of trapped, so Nepo played pawn c4, but Ding captured on d6, rook f8, and he traded on d3 and played bishop c7, making way for this d-pawn to push down the board. King f7, rook a3, great move going after the pawn on d3, and black simply cannot defend it. Rook ac8 came, d6 by Ding, threatening to go d7, king e6, he captured on d3, and after king d7 he played knight c4, threatening to go knight b6. Here Nepo played rook takes c7, you know, and if white takes, black is still has some chances. You know, this pawn is weak. These pawns on this pawn on the queen side is slightly overextended, but Ding found a very nice way to finish the game off. Knight b6 check, and black's in trouble. If you go king c6, we capture this rook here. You cannot capture the knight because then we go rook d8, and white is going to get a new queen, or you know, you give the rook. And if you capture the pawn on c7, white goes knight d5 check, and also picks up the pawn on f6. So black doesn't even get a pawn for the knight here, which is why Nepo resigned. A very good game by Ding. He's showing very strong preparation, which is one of his main strengths. Ding, besides, you know, being a very strong calculator, is also a very strong technician. He's really good at grinding his opponents down when he has a slight advantage. But I would say the biggest challenge for Ding will be the logistical issues. He didn't play well in 2020 when he was dealing with all those COVID issues back then. He didn't play great in 2021. He lost the game early on, and he made a bit of a comeback. He won 2 games at the end, but once again, I feel like that is going to be his biggest challenge. Once again, he hasn't played outside of China for more than a year. So I'm very curious to see how he will be doing. So let's have a look at our last point. With all that being said and done, you guys, I predict that Ding Liren has a 20% chance to win the candidates and face Magnus Carlsen for the World Chess Championship match. I think he's the favorite in the tournament simply because he's the best player in the field, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think, whether you agree, disagree, or what you guys think should be his chance to win the candidates. And I look forward to seeing y'all in the next video.